Okay, so I'm trying to mix up my locations. So I'm sitting outside, and it's a nice windy day. I hope the wind noise doesn't come across too much. I'm actually testing out this mic a little bit. So anyway, the big thing that I want to talk about this recording is another thing that I thought about with the positive voice on my mind map, and it is this section right here. What listening to the positive voice is not. So the super fast review, what the positive voice sounds like. It's confident, light, assured, optimistic. What the negative voice sounds like: pessimistic, overbearing, heavy, and dark, and anxious. And the rules of this is just that I'm going to upload 2 videos a day, and I'm not going to act until I have something from the positive voice, and then when I don't listen, I'll report it and learn from it. And then here are some of the tips for listening to the positive voice. I have quite a few of these, and we already went through them, but it's all sorts of things, physical and mental and all that, and I can still add to these too. So anyway, one of the big things, it's important to understand some of these things because I have developed this whole concept of listening to the positive voice over a lot of years now. And I mean, everything from calling it the positive voice to how to listen to it is in my head, but when you try to tell somebody else about it, it may not come across the right way. So I want to be clear about a couple of things. So what listening to the positive voice is not. Number one, it is not ignoring your feelings. So it's if you are, and what I mean by this is, if you are feeling bad, it's not sitting there and saying, "Oh, I don't feel bad, 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 I don't," And I mean, frankly, to be honest with you, even doing something like that, thinking thoughts like that, is going to make you focus on the bad a little bit. Even though you're focusing on not having the bad, your brain still has bad, 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 bad. So, for example, if I was really depressed, or let's say I was really sad, let's say something actually really happened, like somebody died, the positive voice doesn't mean don't let yourself get sad. As a parent, the positive voice doesn't mean don't let yourself ever be stern or strict with your children. It doesn't mean say yes to everything that anybody ever asks you, including things that are bad for you or illegal or whatever. It's not that. It's not I'm going to ignore every feeling that I have. It's just I am going to tune myself to the things that are not pessimistic or overbearing and heavy and dark and anxious. So, and there have been real times in my life when I've worked either in organizations or with my kids or something, or with my wife, when it's beneficial to show frustration, because sometimes in human communication, that is something that signals to the other person, hey, this is serious, I need to pay attention. Now, I'm not saying make up frustration. And in fact, if you're going to show frustration, it's a lot more powerful if you typically don't act frustrated. Because if I'm frustrated all the time, that's nothing new, and nobody's going to try and act differently because of it. But if I'm typically a nice, happy person and then I'm really frustrated, that's a signal. So listening to the positive voice is not ignoring real things that need to be dealt with. So in other words, again, it's not burying your head in the sand. It's not saying, oh, schoolwork isn't positive, so I'm just going to ignore that, or this thing that I don't want to do or is disagreeable but needs to be done, I don't like it, so I'm just going to ignore it. It's not that at all. It is, in fact, it's quite the opposite of that. Is if you did have something that's very unpleasant but needs to be done, it's doing it in a positive mindset and with a positive feeling. I think the best way that I can describe listening to the positive voice is just tuning yourself to feel positive. As an example that may be easier to communicate is, picture somebody giving you the most amazing gift, and not only did they give you this gift that you love, but they sacrificed, and they did it because they love you so much, and they look at you with that smile, and they're so happy to see you happy, and it's something you could not have gotten yourself, and they gave it to you, and it's something maybe that you've even been working for. The feeling that you would have inside, you can kind of feel what that feeling would feel like. That is very similar to feeling the positive voice, and it's the same idea of tuning yourself to the positive voice, it's basically tuning yourself to the feelings that you need to have. So then grinning and bearing it, it's again, that's similar to ignoring your feelings, but it's not like saying, I'm so happy, 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 I'm happy, happy, and like you're dying inside, and it's not that at all. Every situation that you are ever in, no matter what, and I'm not joking about the no matter what, I don't care, you know, the worst thing you can think of, your loved ones being kidnapped and tortured and murdered, or you being tortured, or whatever, every situation that you're in, you can still, I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy, by the way, but there are still things to feel positive about, and there are still ways to, again, just tune yourself to the positive, to focus on whatever's positive around you, you know? I mean, you can always think, well, at least I'm not this, and maybe that thing, you know, maybe at least this isn't happening. Maybe that thing then will happen, because if you're superstitious, it'll happen. Or you could think, wow, this is bad, but other people have had it worse. Or you can think, oh, this is bad, but at least it's going to be over soon, or whatever. I mean, you can think about it, or you can be like, wow, this is bad, but boy, the wind blowing those trees is sure cool, or something. There's always something that you can find, and again, it's not so much your thoughts as it is your feelings that you're trying to tune yourself to. But at the end of the day, it is not just, well, it goes with the next one. It's not just pretending that everything's okay when it's not, and it's not just smiling when you feel bad. It's just saying, yep, I feel bad. Acknowledge that you feel bad. You can even acknowledge that, yeah, you know, there are things that are less than ideal, but guess what? There are always things that are less than ideal, and there are always things that are good, or I guess you could say more than ideal. Always, in every situation ever, there are always both sides of it. So what you can do is just make the choice to pay attention more, consciously pay attention to those things that are on the positive side of things. And the pretending everything is okay when it's not really just comes down to not burying, not ignoring your feelings, not, it's about honesty, really, is what it comes down to. It's about saying, wow, this sucks. Wow, this hurts. Wow, I wish there's and I would say there's a part of me that wishes that this wasn't happening right now. But how can I look at this from any kind of a positive angle, or how can I just stop looking at this? You know, like, and is there, another really important question to ask yourself in this is there anything I can do right now? Because I guess that's probably a bigger thing. If you're bleeding out on the ground, it's not saying everything's fine, everything's okay, or there's a shark munching on your foot, or you're caught in barbed wire. It's not saying, oh, there's nothing wrong, everything's okay. It's like, okay, I'm in this situation. What can I do? And if the answer is there's absolutely nothing I can do, that's when when you say, okay, there's nothing I can do. So what is there positive? Or can I just put myself in a different place in my mind? Can I literally just close my eyes and pretend that I'm somewhere else? And again, by pretend that I'm somewhere else, I don't mean just pretend that reality isn't reality. I mean, tune your mind to good memories, good feelings, good thoughts, all those kinds of things. I don't know. Even as I explain this, it's really hard, and I can hear people objecting to it. And I guess that's the reason why why you have to try these things for yourself. You have to get to the point, what makes sense to you? And really, this whole video series is my journey about listening to the positive voice. So at the end of the day, whatever I feel doesn't really mean anything to you. It's just sharing the thoughts that I have. But the way that looks to me, pretending that everything's okay when it's not, I think I have the opposite problem. I pretend things aren't okay when they really are. Best example that pops in my head is when I fight with my wife. I will think that things are terrible, and I'll go to the darkest, furthest, worst place right away. And really, everything is fine. Yeah, maybe we argued about some little thing, maybe whatever. Like, if I were to look at reality, everything is fine, but I'm pretending it's not fine. So you have to look at it and you have to say, hey, if if you think that you're pretending that everything's okay when it's not, you have to ask yourself, is it really not? Is it really, really not okay? Because people grow a lot through adversity and trials and resistance, again, going back to my earlier video. So is it really bad if you get sick? Is it really bad if you lose your job? Is it really bad if your kids are hungry or they don't get Christmas presents, or you can't take the vacation, or you have to drive a crappier car, or your kids get sick, or your kid gets bullied, or keep going down the list. Anything really that happens in life, is it bad? Is it not okay? That's maybe the better way to look at it, because yeah, it hurts. It's not ideal, and I sure as heck do not put myself in the category of people who've gone through really difficult things. But even those people, I mean, I know people who have gotten married and the wife got pregnant, had a baby, and then died of cancer suddenly, super young, very healthy. I know people who struggled to have their first baby, had their first baby, and when he was 9 months old, he got some super rare kind of leukemia, and he actually pulled through, but terrible. I know people who have lost both of their parents right around the time that they were 20. Their dad died when they were like 5, and mom died later. I know, a lot of people who've gone through a lot of difficult things, and who's to say that it's not okay? That's probably the biggest thing to me. So anyway, that is the end of the thoughts for now, what listening to the positive voice is not. I just wanted to clarify some of those things, so I will continue to add to this mind map as we go, and we'll talk about it. So all right, that's it for now. See ya.